You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scott McKay.
How's it going, gentlemen? My name is Scott McKay, and you are tuned in to yet another Snippet from the Summit as part of the Mountaintop podcast from X and Y Communications. As you guys know already, I talked till I'm blue in the face about transactional relationships and the pitfalls of them. It used to be that people would get together and have a partnership, and you probably have already noticed that a lot of the old timers out there are the ones whose relationships last. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's a time element out there. Someone 25, 30 years old from, say, Generation Z can't have been married for 50 or 60 years already. That just doesn't make sense in time, space, or dimension. But there really is no doubt about the simple fact that people who are older tend to have been married longer and tend to stay married compared to, well, the litany of couples, you know, who break up and never make up here in the postmodern era. Well, you've heard me talk about transactional relationships in terms of people getting together because of what they can get out of the relationship with relation to what they'd have to give back to the relationship to make sure that this other person in the bargain, you know, their needs are met as well. Well, nowadays, as I've discussed on this podcast in the past, a lot of people, and I would say there's even leakage up into, you know, middle-aged folks at this point because of how society has trended towards this phenomenon, basically of people getting into relationships saying, okay, here's what I want, and you're going to give it to me. There's not even any thought given to what this other person's expecting out of the relationship. They're just sort of expecting that this person will be along for the ride to give me what I want. Call it the Siri effect. Call it the, the effect of the incredibly fast development of AI and its encroachment on our social values. You know, and that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. But people are being trained en masse to believe that, you know what, the world revolves around me. Like I'm a toddler, like I'm a child, a petulant child who's spoiled, and I deserve to get what I want. And I want to get what I think I deserve. Now, on the other hand, since 2005, the URL for this particular practice, the main one, has been deservewhatyouwant.com. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys go to mountaintoppodcast.com, get show notes and everything. That's all good. But deservewhatyouwant.com is basically the flagship website, the jumping off point, if you will, for this entire practice. And even in the year 2005, 20 years ago, 2 decades, deserving what one wants was a revolutionary concept. I would say virtually all the dating advice from that era and moving forward to today was all about, hey, you know what? You already deserve this. Finally get the partner you deserve, et cetera, without any feeling that you have to earn this distinction of deserving something. In other words, being the kind of person someone else would want before expecting to get the kind of partner you want. Well, nowadays, I believe that we are in grave danger of descending down the rabbit hole of normalizing transactional relationships to the point of no return. And here's something scary I noticed this week. A particular dating guru who will remain unnamed, as you know, I don't want to infringe on his practice, but I've known him probably for 15 years now, posted one of those long, self-absorbed screeds on Facebook that's designed to capture your attention and get you to read. And really, he's just fishing for people to like and approve and engage with him, right? He was talking about how after all of these years, he finally found a woman who he thinks is his forever partner, you know, his ride or die. And this Facebook post went on probably about 25 to 30 paragraphs. Not until the second to the last paragraph was it written in the first person plural. It was first person singular all the way until that point. I did this. I realized it was up to me to what I wanted. I, me. And bear in mind, he was writing a fluff piece about his ability and his success in finding the relationship of his dreams. Well, guess what? You know what they say, there's no I in team. There's no I in we either. And gentlemen, regardless of how society is training us, regardless of how many times you've told Siri what to do and gotten accustomed to it, regardless of how many interactions you're having with an AI robot nowadays that's also dehumanizing your personal communications, right? As you're talking to someone who, well, really isn't a person, the danger, like I'm saying, is we're going to go even deeper and deeper into depersonalizing our actual IRL relationships with women. Now, if you think that's a good idea, you're probably already a man going his own way, one of the MGTOW guys. And guess what? Go for it. But go your own way. Don't pretend you're going to drag some poor girl into this with you. Now, that poor girl probably has designs of her own on having you do her bidding. Welcome to why relationships don't last. Not only are relationships basically expendable when you don't value the human side of them at all, but once they outlast their welcome, or once you realize this person isn't going to give me what I want, you're going to be out of there. And so is she. And when both people are vying for what they want all the time and prioritizing that, well, what other outcome can you expect other than failure? Gentlemen, we have to go back to being humans again. I mean, women are human beings. We are designed to be in partnership with female human beings. Listen, I've talked about the pressure on the birth rate and on the family. Obviously, there's not going to be any nuclear family. There's not going to be any babies born when people are basically being so transactional. That much is a given. But I'm talking about the more human side of all of this today. Gentlemen, when you find a woman who you're absolutely hot for sexually and who you actually like and whose values are the same as yours, and you actually know what's going on inside her head, the exponential value of having that relationship in your life exceeds whatever benefits, materially speaking or even emotionally speaking, that either you or her are going to get out of it. Now listen, here's the punchline. Even though society is training us to treat transactional relationships as normative, again, even dating gurus are falling into this trap. People who teach this stuff, who make a living off this stuff, have been falling into this trap. It doesn't change our primal archetypal need for human connection. And guess what, guys? If you're first in line, if you're the last man standing out there apparently to announce to a perfectly good woman that's who the hell you are, I bet you'll find that a lot of perfectly good women are going to find themselves snapping out of that frame that society is imposing upon us and remind themselves, yeah, you know what? That's what I've always wanted. Next thing you know, the two of you will be together. You'll be connecting. You'll feel like you've known each other 10 years after 2 days, right? She'll already be bragging about you to her friends. And oh, yes, by the way, your sex life is going to be a whole lot better than some woman you're in a transactional relationship with, let alone what your sex life would be with a robot. Want to talk about this or anything else? Scott at mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.